State Election Commission has decided to hold upcoming local body elections, including the marquee Bengaluru polls, via ballot papers. Now, this fits very neatly in the Congress worldview that BJP is winning elections due to EVM or electoral roll manipulation. The Commission itself did not specify any particular reason for the shift, simply stating that the law allows for it. But we do know that the decision follows a recommendation made last year by the Siddaramaiah-led Karnataka cabinet to conduct all future local body elections using ballot papers. Law and Parliamentary Affairs Minister H.K. Patil has cited a decline in public trust and credibility of EVMs as the reason. BJP has expectedly opposed the shift, citing vote theft and election violence as natural reasons why EVMs are preferred. It's important to note here, mandatory use of EVMs applies only for elections for state assemblies and parliament in India. So ballots can be used at all other levels. But is this decision taken to make the process simpler, better from whose point of view, or purely for political reasons and political grandstanding? We'll take that question to our guest joining us in just a bit. Now, here's what the Congress-led Karnataka government has argued in favor of ballot papers. The primary argument cited by the state cabinet being this perceived erosion of confidence and credibility among voters regarding EVMs. Congress leaders have also alleged widespread electoral irregularities, terming it vote theft, specifically pointing to mismatches, suspicious deletions and duplicate entries in electoral rolls that they believe are exacerbated by the current system. The government cited voter list issues for Bengaluru, for example, including duplicates, fakes, non-resident entries, arguing that a ballot system with a fresh SEC revision would reduce such vulnerabilities. The Congress has also criticized the lack of VVPAT verification at all booths. The Congress has also cited that several developed countries like Germany, France, etc. are using ballot papers, so why can't India? But here's a reminder of what happened in Goa recently for the state of Karnataka. It may be foolhardy to suggest that results are anything to do with the medium of votes. Because remember, in Goa recently, Zilla Panchayat elections were held via ballot papers in as many as 50 seats. What was the result? BJP won 29 of those 50 seats and emerged as the single largest party. And what were the issues noticed on ground during these elections? High number of invalid votes. So this is what you get when you go back from EVMs to ballot papers. It's not a rosy picture, and certainly results don't seem to suggest that BJP will not do well if the elections are held on ballot papers. In fact, this is a feature of ballot voting that is one of the reasons electronic voting machines were favored by and large in India. In Goa, for example, it was found that there was an unusually high number of invalid votes across the state, with the number of such rejected votes being higher than the winning margin in at least 5 constituencies. Mostly such invalid votes arose from incorrect stamping and multiple marks. The State Election Commissioner itself accepted that the sudden switch to ballots confused voters, and especially elder voters who find it hard to stamp ballots correctly. Even one candidate is on record to accept that such difficulties with ballots exist, which is a concern for everyone, as he said. So this isn't really about which party you come from. Politics should not be deciding this decision. It bears reminding at this stage why ballots were done away with in the first place, because there used to be large-scale rigging and booth capturing in those times. The electronic voting machine works on a battery or a power pack, and they don't require any external supplies. Unlike in the case of ballot paper systems, the vote is cast by pressing a button, which negates this possibility of the invalid votes. EVM does not allow for more than 4 more votes in a minute, which deters the possibility of any booth capturing. In fact, once the close button on the control unit is pressed, there is no possibility of any further voting. The voter can verify the recording of their vote with the beep sound and that 7-second display. It is not possible to know the serial number of any candidate in advance, since the original program that has a political party and candidates is ported on the microcontroller of the EVM. Therefore, it is not possible to pre-program the EVM in a manner beneficial to one candidate or party. Not to forget, of course, they are environmental friendly. We don't really want spurious use of paper in today's day and age. So, the question that arises is the Congress government really undermining election efficiency by taking this decision to go back to ballot papers, And is this decision stemming out of political insecurity, even jealousy, than any on-ground issue? That debate is coming up.
We will ensure that free and fair elections happen in the local bodies here in Karnataka.
In the name of vote chori or in the name of EVM rigging, they are spreading a fake narrative against the BJP party.
Let's go across to our guest. Joining us, Surabhi Hodigere, spokesperson Karnataka BJP, Satabi Shivanna, spokesperson of Karnataka Congress with us, Amitabh Tiwari is founder, Vote Vibe, also with us. Satabish, I begin with you. This decision is being taken just because it can be taken at a local level, but more for political reasons or grandstanding, because nobody can argue in today's day and age that actually doing a local election or even any election by voter ballot papers is efficient and devoid of any excessive issues, as I just pointed out in the case of Goa elections as well recently.
Very outset, I think bringing back the ballot paper is not going backward. It is going forward towards transparency. Now, the Karnataka State Election Commission has taken a very mature, democratic and sensible decision, and the Congress government in Karnataka welcomes it wholeheartedly. Why? Because elections are not only about machines and technology, they are about trust. Today, whether the BJP likes it or not, there is a genuine lingering fear in the minds of people regarding the EVMs. And in a democracy, perception of fairness is as important as perception itself. Now, the ballot paper is an age-old, globally respected method of voting. It is simple, transparent, and verifiable. Every vote can be seen, checked, verified, recounted. And this is exactly what a democracy demands. And most advanced democracies still use paper ballots. You take United States of America, largely paper ballots with optical scanners. The United Kingdom, 100% paper ballots. Germany returned back to paper ballots after the Supreme Court ruled that the EVM is non-transparent. Netherlands went back, scrapped the EVMs and went back to paper. We have Canada, we have Japan, Australia, and many other countries. And please don't tell me that, paper ballots are outdated. If paper ballots are good enough for America, UK, and Germany, they're certainly good enough for Bengaluru. And let's address the elephant in the room. Over the last few years, there have been serious allegations against the Election Commission of India. Many citizens feel that the Election Commission of India is not acting as an independent constitutional body. There is a perception amongst the people that it is behaving like an extended.
But these local elections are not
BJP,
held
Modi
under
and Shah.
These local elections are anyways not held directly under the central ECI. So what is the fear in this case?
No, there is no fear. Now, they want to go back to the ballot paper, and rightly so. Ballot papers can provide something that EVMs can never fully guarantee. A physical paper trail. Votes can be manually counted. Votes can be rechecked. Votes can be produced before
But you completely sidestepped the issue.
Booth by booth.
But Satabish, you completely sidestepped the issue of the fact.
Democracy cannot run on blind faith in machines. It must run on visible, verifiable proof, and that is what the
blind
State
faith
Election
in
Commission has
machines.
decided.
Okay, that's an interesting way to put it. 1 second. But I just want to draw your attention to what I pointed out. In Goa, local Zilla Panchayat elections were held on ballot paper. They found that many elderly were, they were not able to quickly get used to this, because in any case around India people have gotten used to EVMs. But even if I take that aside, stamping correctly a ballot paper, any kind of extra mark on a ballot paper, all of them lead to invalid votes. Is that also not a matter of serious concern when your vote is going to be just declared invalid if you ended up stamping it incorrectly?
No, I'm sure the Election Commission will devise good methods to overcome all these difficulties. Difficulties exist either way, even in EVMs. People complain that if we vote for Aam Aadmi Party, the vote goes to BJP. If we vote for Congress, the vote goes to BJP. We vote for a regional party, the vote goes to BJP. So therefore, there are questions that have been raised on voter lists. There are questions that have been raised on selective enforcement. Questions have been raised on neutrality. And yes, questions have
Voter
been raised
list
on
issue is
EVMs.
not going to be sorted out or addressed by whether you do it on ballot paper or not.
No,
So I'm not understanding where that is coming from.
There are questions that are raised against the Election Commission of India in all aspects. Now,
But
the
Satyadeesh,
Election
that's what I
Commission
said.
must
These
come forward and
elections
devise
are not,
methodologies to
these are
overcome
elections
these
that the
hurdles.
State Election Commission decides to do. They are held under their aegis. The central ECI body has nothing to do with them. You can choose to do it whichever means, which in this case you're choosing to do it via ballot paper. But if there are voter roll issues, because this is where the politics comes in. If the Congress's campaign is there is voter theft because of voter roll issues, how does ballot paper solve that? Because the voter list is not going to change whether you hold it via EVMs or ballot paper.
No, they are two separate issues.
They are
the
two
vote
separate
chori,
issues,
The
indeed.
vote chori that has been raised by Shri Rahul Gandhi is a different aspect altogether.
Okay.
The Election Commission of India must come clean. But that said, there are doubts about the EVMs as well.
Okay, so you
And
are
it
saying
our
this is
duty
purely
to
because
restore
of the doubts on
there are
EVMs
two different
alone.
issues
All
that
right.
will be dealt with differently.
Okay,
We are not trying
purely
to solve
on the
one
issue
by
of
introducing
lack
ballot
of
paper.
credibility of EVMs.
The
Surabhi,
lack of trust in EVMs is the reason we are bringing back the ballot paper.
Okay,
And you
Surabhi,
tell
please
me
respond to what he's
prohibits-
saying. He's
what law
saying
prohibits the
democracy
usage of-
cannot function, as he said, on blind faith in machines.
Very interesting framing, because it was under the Congress party that the EVM push was, we all know that booth capturing, poll rigging, all of these was very common where ballot papers were used. And it was the Congress party that wholeheartedly supported the use of EVMs. A sudden shift in tone and tenor about the EVMs in the last 2 years. Here, Shatabish says it has nothing to do with the fact that Rahul Gandhi has started the vote chori campaign, which has not landed with the masses anywhere, either in Bihar, either in Maharashtra, nor in Karnataka. Yet today, please, let me complete, Shatabish. You want to discredit the EVM. You want to credit, take the credit away from efficiency because you don't want to. You know that you can't win elections in an easy way. You know that you cannot, people are not in your favor. Be it Maharashtra, where you've seen a very, very bad defeat, or in Bengaluru, you are going to face the same defeat in Bengaluru because the people are not with you, not because there is a problem with EVMs. And let me remind the Congress, Shivani, through your channel, through your debate, that when they win elections, EVMs seem to be working fine. This has become something that everybody in the country knows today. You do not raise poll inefficiencies during the time you win elections. You do not raise poll inefficiencies when you won in Karnataka here in 2023. EVMs were working all fine. Trust was a high factor at that point in time. The first full-fledged election, 2004, when you won, we used EVMs for the first time in general elections, the Lok Sabha elections. Yet, at that point in time, the EVMs worked perfectly. Can I know when the EVMs stopped working well? Was there a particular
after you came into power? After the BJP came into power,
why
it
is
stopped
that? Because
working
you
well.
stopped winning elections. Because
After
you
you
have a leader
started-
who has lost
after
consecutive.
you started
I'm still
altering
speaking.
the
I don't
EVMs,
remember
after
interrupting
you
you
started
when you were
interfering
speaking.
with
I don't
independent
remember
constitutional
interrupting you,
bodies,
Shatabish.
after
I don't
after
remember
you
interrupting
hijacked
you. Please
independent
let me speak.
constitutional
I'm speaking
bodies,
an
after you
inconvenient
started
truth,
using
which
the
is that
Election
your
Commission
leader
of India
has
as your
lost
puppet,
90 elections in a row, and you're unable to accept that 90 election loss across the country for the last 12 years, not because an EVM is being hacked, but because the people firmly believe in the leadership of the Prime Minister and the leadership of the BJP. You're unable to accept that, so you destroy institutions. It is your party
we
that was
destroyed.
known for booth capturing, known to bring in the emergency, known to go against the people's verdict and bring forth an internal emergency.
Can
your
I bring-
party lost trust in the institutions.
No,
Don't
at least
try
he's being candid
IT
to
city.
accept
Last
that this is
point,
because
Shruti, last point.
they
Last
lost
point,
election in
last
2014.
Last point. Do not try to take the IT cities, work and progress in terms of technology away and say we can't blindly trust machines. Come to Bengaluru, see the roads. People will not vote for you because the infrastructure is bad. Come to Bengaluru, see the state of health. You people will not vote for you because of those reasons, not because the EVM is not trustworthy. And you point to all of these other countries. India's EVM is something we are proud of. Priyank Karge did a hackathon, asked people to come and ethical hackathon where he asked people to test the EVM machines. Nobody was able to find fault as per what you're claiming. You are speaking in air. You are discrediting the institutions. You're discrediting technology.
No, once
because
again,
you are unable to win elections.
politically, there is some explanation to be given. R.K. Upadhyay, senior journalist, is also joining us on what happens to those election verdicts where the Congress or other, non-BJP parties win. You can't just say, you cannot have, cannot fool all the public all the time by saying that EVMs are problematic only while the results are not suiting the Congress party, in this case, for example.
Shwani, I think the reasons are very obvious. They are not questioning the results in Karnataka. They are not questioning the results in Telangana. So, but everywhere else where they lose, they start questioning it. I mean, this is a ridiculous state of affairs, and forcing the state election commission to hold the elections based on the ballot papers. I tell you, they're pushing Bangalore from a high-tech city to low-level city. I mean, that is a disgrace. People of Bangalore will not accept. I hope at least the IT crowd, in protest will, vote against.
No, but Satyabhish's contention is that it shouldn't be seen as backward if you're holding it on ballot papers, because most of the developed world uses ballot paper.
No, see, the developed world, the so-called developed world, have not been able to devise the foolproof systems. The USA has multiple problems. Every state has its own system of election. I mean, we are far ahead when it comes to holding elections in a proper way.
And also our magnitude is very different.
US counting takes about 3-4 days, whereas we are able to get the results within 24 hours. So let's not be dependent on the foreign this thing, and don't think that they are very much ahead of us.
No, first of all, I feel we shouldn't compare to some of these Western European or American democracies, because first of all, the population load is entirely different, right? Just the number of people voting is entirely different.
So
also, for example, in US, this mail-in votes has been shown to be a massive scam. So
absolutely,
it's not a apples to apples comparison, but I'm just saying that ballot system also in India alone, we know what used to happen when it used to be ballot papers. We cannot argue that that was foolproof versus EVMs not being foolproof. If anything, if you leave political rhetoric aside, EVMs are turning out to be more a foolproof way. Nobody's been able to demonstrate that they can be hackable or there can be any kind of maneuvering done after they reach the polling booths, or after they are taken away from the polling booths. There's all innuendo, no proof.
We've just now seen how Bihar elections went off peacefully without a single problem. And we know the same Bihar, how the elections used to be just about 20-25 years ago. I mean, where booth capturing used to be across the board. It used to happen, and then people being deprived of being able to vote and all that. So it had the most peaceful election recorded in its history. So that being the case, especially in Karnataka, recently the State Election Commission conducted an opinion survey where 85% of the people supported EVMs. They said we are no problems.
Really?
With EVMs.
When was this done? Sorry, when was this done, R.K.
Upadhyay?
It was a survey that was conducted of 5,000 people, and I can't believe a senior journalist like
all surveys are conducted on a
such
small
survey.
That is the example of a survey, sir. All surveys are done on a smaller magnitude.
Shivani, the survey was published by the Planning and Statistics Department of Karnataka government.
One by one, please. Please, one by one. Satish, yes, you please finish. You don't believe your own survey?
No, it is with a sample size of 5,000 in a 7 crore state.
All surveys are done like that only, sir. Amitabh Tiwari is here, he will tell you.
Absolutely no research methodology.
Number.
It was conducted
and also,
by a
if you
So why did you do it on 5,000 only? Why did you not do on a larger base?
Madam, it was conducted by an
Shivani,
NGO who has
forget
written
being
about
on 5,000.
Mr. Modi. He's a sycophant of Mr. Modi, and you expect us to endorse
Shivani,
it as...
please find
Okay, one second, Subhi, let him finish. Okay, yes, Surbi,
So
go
you
ahead.
expect us to endorse a survey of 5,000 people in a 7 crore state as the voice of all Kannadigas?
Okay,
And
okay, Surbi,
the NGO
let's
that
Surbi respond.
conducted the
Amitabh is waiting to
survey,
speak. Yes, Surbi.
the NGO that
Perhaps
conducted the
we
survey,
can
Satavish,
one on
please,
one.
sitting in the office of the Prime
please.
Minister.
I'll have to lower your feeder, please, not like this. Surbi.
Perhaps I have to do a quick masterclass on statistical significance. But having said that, why did your government publish the survey? Why was it published by the Department of Planning and Statistics and then removed? Why was that report that you say was not statistically significant
Who
published by
sanctioned
your
the
own
survey,
government?
Sirbi?
Why?
Please say that.
Why did you even
Please state
sanction the
that.
survey? Why?
Who
You
sanctioned
say
it? It's
the
not
survey
us, it's
results
the
came
Election
down your
Commission of
way.
India.
So
If
therefore,
your
you
basics are
discredit the
this
survey.
low, then I have nothing to say.
Same thing you're doing with
If this is
EVM.
your basics, you are going to rely on news
EVMs are not
articles,
working
One
for
second.
you, so
articles
you
by an
discredit
enthusiastic
EVMs.
journalist.
Please don't speak
and
over each
consider
other.
that
I
this
request
survey-
both of you, please, not to speak over each other.
discredit
One second, I have some
EVMs.
details of that survey. One second, I'm finding it very curious. Amitabh Tiwari, 84%, 84.5% believed elections are free and fair in India. 83% trust EVMs post 2024 Lok Sabha elections, so they're very recent. Trust in EVMs increased from 78% in 2023 to 83+% in 2025. So where is this, canard that people don't trust EVM results coming from? No public is protesting after any election results in any case. Amitabh
It's
Tiwari.
only the Congress party which is protesting.
So
Amitabh.
see, the decision to conduct these municipal corporation or local body elections through ballot papers is largely a political decision. What the Congress party has been driving the narrative that EVMs have been rigged. The election commission is helping the BJP win the elections, and also on vote chori they have ran a big campaign. So I think what they want to do is perhaps they want to show that an election parallelly can be conducted in a free and fair manner using ballot boxes, though there can be inefficiencies, as you mentioned, giving the Goa example. Let's suppose, and there is a 50-50 probability whenever two parties are contesting, they win. Then they would try to establish the narrative that, see, we have held elections on the basis of ballot papers and we have won. And whenever elections are held through EVMs, majority of the times the BJP is winning. But I don't think this is as simple as it sounds, because we at VoteVive also, when we had asked people on the seriousness of the allegations of vote chori, people had said that the allegations are serious and they should be investigated. But when we asked whether the ECI is helping the BJP win elections, majority of the people, as you mentioned, even in the particular survey with the EVM, said that no, that's not the case. So I think it's very political posturing and trying to drive home a point that through ballot papers, opposition or Congress party can win, but through EVM, largely the BJP wins. But it's happening in a state where the opposition has won on elections conducted through EVMs.
Through EVMs.
So wondering, or that's the dilemma. That is why these things are not hitting the people hard, because they see this contradiction.
Yeah, I mean, there is enough democracy surviving, even if you go by Congress's standards in many, many states in India. And, Amitabh, I pointed out to what were the problems that were felt on ground in Goa. For example, invalid votes were higher than the winning margin in at least five seats. When the Zilla Panchayat elections were held, there were high number of invalid votes. That is something that is to be pondered upon equally. I think it is a greater disservice to the electorate if their vote doesn't even get counted because of whatever reasons that erupt after using ballot papers. That's a greater travesty of democracy.
Yes, so people have got used to voting through EVMs. Now, if you shift back to ballot papers, then you need proper training. We've seen in Rajya Sabha elections when it
Even
happens on
parliamentarians make
how many
mistakes.
how many votes are cancelled or are invalid. Correct. So the chances of high invalid votes are high because people could stamp or may not stamp the party of their choice properly, or there is an overlap, etc. So I think these things also need to be taken into account. The SEC largely is under the control of the state government and they have taken their independent decision. So we'll have to wait and see how this unfolds. I think Congress would show or would want to show that they have conducted it fairly and they have won. I think that's very important. If the BJP wins, then it's going to be a double whammy for the Congress party because it's a 50-50 probability. I'm saying anybody can win. Then it's going to be a double whammy for the Congress party as to what narrative they should be spreading.
Right. Results will be interesting to watch out for. But going back to that survey that Satabhish was so eager to kind of rubbish and brush under the carpet, the survey was indeed done by an NGO, Gram.
Yes.
But it was done for Karnataka's Chief Electoral Officer. It was published by the Karnataka government's Monitoring and Evaluation Authority. So you in a way, stamped your authority over that survey, but you're not willing to believe the survey findings because they're inconvenient for you. This is seeming like all of Congress's decision-making these days. Whatever doesn't fit our narrative, just brush it under the carpet.
No, I don't understand. Like, who sanctioned this particular survey? It was the Election Commission. They have asked a politically cozy NGO to go and conduct a survey of 5,000 people and then say 80%, provide inflated figures. This is absolutely ridiculous. My allegation is that this NGO has selectively picked out persons and they have conducted this survey only to inflate figures and to restore confidence.
Okay, all right.
Who is this person who conducted
Shivani,
this
the
survey?
very fact that nobody has been able to so far prove that the EVMs are not working.
If I conduct a survey tomorrow,
nobody has been able to, hack into it and show that, it doesn't work properly. As long as,
what's the problem with the paper ballot,
with, the EVM should continue. I think just because, one political party doesn't believe it. So even among their own, allies, they don't believe it. So it's only the Congress which is going about this vote chori business, and then they continue to lose elections. So that being the case, I don't think there is any case for going back to the ballot papers.
Surbhi, you wouldn't mind per se if these elections were held on ballot paper, if the BJP believes that, it is getting no advantage via EVMs or, via this tacit understanding allegedly from the ECI, surely there's no reason for you to oppose going to the elections on ballot papers. As it happened in Goa, you did fairly well when it were held on ballot papers.
The crux of the question is, if you're questioning the EVM, please give us some details on what that exactly means. Are you saying that the EVM is hackable, yet your government, your ministry holds an ethical hackathon competition where nobody is able to find any bugs or fix problems within the EVM? You're comparing the digital voting system to a mechanical voting system of the EVM here in India. What is your problem with the EVM? That is our basic question over here. And this dangerous trend, similar to what questions have been raised on the survey over here as well as the EVM, of discrediting institutions, processes merely because it does not benefit you. That is what we have a problem with. The Congress party does not want to accept or acknowledge that they have a serious issue when it comes to winning elections. Because they are unable to do that, because they're unable to accept that, look, it's our fault, it's our mistake, we have a leader who's not delivering elections to us. That does not mean you discredit India's institutions, processes, and demean the access to efficient democracy. That is what you're doing today. Vote rigging, ballot captures. This time, Bihar election went without even one repoll happening. Is that even thinkable in a ballot paper era? And let's remember, you want to hold free and fair elections, but your own party has accepted here in Karnataka, K. Rajana accepted that ballot papers led to booth capturing. And then what did you do to him? He went against the vote chori line. You had to make him resign. Therefore, the problem here is that it is a threat to democracy, Shivani. Congress party is a persistent threat to democracy, and that is playing out here in Karnataka.
Well, the political rhetoric and duplicity involved in shunning EVMs when it doesn't have, when the results are not in favor, I think that's for the public to decide. Let them do this experiment. Let other parties also do this experiment. At the end of the day, Indian democracy can sustain these experiments, and I think it will only turn out to be for the benefit of us all. Thanks a lot for joining our guests. We're getting some updates coming in as far as the BJP presidential elections are concerned. In all, 37 sets of nomination papers were received in favor of Nitin Nabin for the post of national president. On scrutiny, all sets of nomination papers were found to be duly filled up in the required format and were valid. Now, after the period of withdrawal in capacity of the returning officer of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Nitin Nabin has been announced as the national president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Let me go across to my colleague also joining us with more on this. They will be joining us, but Nitin Nabin has now officially been announced as the national president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. But remember, there has been only one name that has been proposed internally from the BJP. There was never really a question that Nitin Nabin will be chosen as the next president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. But he is, of course, one of the youngest presidents of the party taking over, and a surprise name that came forward. My colleague Anindo is also joining us with more on this. So the result was never really in surprise, Anindo, Nitin Nabin being elected unopposed?
Absolutely, it wasn't a surprise for sure, but now we have, the unanimity, the numbers speak for itself. In all 37 sets of nomination papers, it says, were received in favor of Nitin Nabin. It says the BJP's press statement. And now it is a clear statement from the BJP's press release that he is now the new national president-elect. No if, no but, very clearly that he is come tomorrow morning. He will be the national president, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi, after 11:30 a.m., he will introduce him as the next national president of BJP. He's around 37 sets of national nomination papers from 5 states. Each 20 proposals came from each state. From Uttar Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself, Rajnath Singh himself proposed his name. So very clearly, it shows the discipline, it shows the unanimity with which a normal cardiac, a normal cadre can walk up to and aspire to be a BJP president, a post of highest BJP, highest
Right.
post of a party.
All right, we'll leave it at that. I do thank you for joining us. Well, after India's first home ODI series loss against the Kiwis, despite a stellar Virat Kohli form, questions are mounting if Captain Shubman Gill is unable to handle game situations and captain effectively on field. Remember, this is Gill's second consecutive ODI series loss since becoming captain, and during this period, India has also faced humiliating test losses at home. So everybody's wondering what is going wrong, especially with Gautam Gambhir as the coach. Many experts and fans alike are pointing out to on-field situations where Gill seems to be out of sorts with bowling changes, and seniors have to intervene as far as making field placements is concerned. First up though, let's take a quick look at what happened at the high-scoring third ODI versus New Zealand, which India lost.
New Zealand have done the unthinkable in Indore. A 41-run win, a 2-1 series triumph, and India suffered their first ever bilateral ODI series defeat at home against the Kiwis, despite a vintage Virat Kohli 100 that lit up the night. Put into bat, New Zealand rode out early pressure to post a commanding 337 for 8. Daryl Mitchell was ice cool, anchoring the innings with a superb 137, while Glenn Phillips flipped the momentum with a blistering 106. Together, they added 219 for the fourth wicket after New Zealand were 58 for 3, completely turning the game on its head. India's reply never settled. Early wickets hurt, and at 71 for 4, the chase looked fragile. Virat Kohli stood tall, fighting the battle almost alone with a magnificent 124 of 108 balls, his 54th ODI 100. Nitish Kumar Reddy and Harshit Rana chipped in with the crucial half-centuries, giving India a flicker of hope. But the asking rate kept climbing. The standout performer was Daryl Mitchell, a second straight 100 in the series. Total control under pressure. Virat Kohli produced a fighting 100 under pressure, scoring 124 while anchoring India's chase of 338. With wickets falling around him, Kohli mixed composure with calculated aggression, keeping India's hopes alive almost single-handedly. The decisive moment came late. With India still believing, Kohli fell at 292 for 9, caught in the deep. That was the end. New Zealand closed it out calmly, sealing a historic series win on Indian soil.
So questions mounting as far as Shubman Gill's ODI readiness is concerned. Of course, you know, there have been some questions over his batting in the past. Currently, there were questions whether he can handle both his batting responsibilities and captaincy when he was announced as the captain. But let's look at his overall ODI record. So Shubman Gill, of course, took over against Australia in that high headlines series. But since then, his record hasn't been much to write home about. 6 matches, he's only won 2 ODIs out of them, lost 4. So the winning percentage is pretty poor. But more importantly, the issue is the series record. There are no wins out of those 2 series that he has captained. On the other hand, there have been 2 series losses. So there are big questions that are mounting, and this is also from observation and not just from statistics on paper. Has this first ever ODI loss versus Kiwis now exposed Gill's captaincy beyond doubt? Is Gill able to handle match situations? That's the big question on his own as a captain on ground. Has he been found to need seniors' help during matches? Yes, it happens all the time. Seniors on the field help captains all the time, but is it happening too often? And on the other side, is he being found lacking ideas? And therefore, we come to the final question. Has ODI captaincy come too early for Shubman Gill? Several people pointing out that, he is one of the youngest captains India has ever had. But despite not having a great track record, a proven track record, mind you, he has been made the limited overs captain as well. Let's go across to some of our guests joining us. My colleague Vineet Ramakrishnan from Cricket Next is with us. Atul Vasan, former India cricketer, and Ayaz Memon, sports journalist, also with us. Vineet, first of all, any responses from the Indian team setup, captain, coach, support staff on what happened as far as this Kiwi series is concerned? Because historically, it's very significant. It's the first Kiwi win, ODI series win in India.
Well, after the series loss, Shubman Gill did concede that New Zealand were the better team across these in the series itself. So there were a few things that Shubman Gill mentioned in terms of how the players went about it, and again how the New Zealand spinners were far better than the Indian spinners. So from a comments point of view, you have to look at it. It is ODIs. The 3 matches is sandwiched between the World Cup preparations and everything. So looking at the longer plan, I mean, there is a lot of things that needs to be done here. Shubman Gill at the top of the series itself said this series was more about finding the combinations and finding who's the best suitable player were to play. So they probably are trying to give a bit more playing time to the likes of Nitish Kumar Reddy or maybe Harshit Rana there. But overall, as you mentioned, this is New Zealand's first ever series win and does not really go down well for Shubman Gill, who's now lost 2 series as a captain, the previous one and this one also. And somewhere down the line, you also feel his captaincy burden probably is, shifting towards his batting as well. In the last 10 ODIs that he has played, he hasn't scored 100. He's not reached that 3-figure mark. Only 250s that came in the first 2 ODIs as well. So he's not been able to convert his start. And from a captaincy point as well, lack of ideas. You could see that usage of somebody like a Kuldeep Yadav in the middle overs, or not bringing in Ravindra Jadeja when it was needed. So a lot of question marks over there. And yes, Shubman Gill conceding that New Zealand were the better team across the series.
Well, New Zealand is not to be trifled with, certainly, as far as this format is concerned. But you look at, Atul, just the sheer number of first-timers they had in India playing in this series, debutants they had. You compare that to the experience India has. I mean, in this series, you cannot argue that transition was the issue. So was Gill's captaincy the issue?
Not really. I can't just put a finger on Gill, but I think Gautam Gambhir, the whole control of the team and, the tone and tenor that he's managing the team has to be questioned now, because, the way these economies have been happening to us. We lost the Test series, and we never thought we'd lose a bilateral one-day series also. But that's only I think the last 10 years, we've lost again only Australia at home. And I think in the last 41 days, New Zealand has played in India, they've only won 8 times. And the way they batted, and they've always punched above their weight. I must say that this about Kiwis. But imagine the guy who stood out from Indian team was the guy who was under question to hold a spot. That is Virat Kohli. So that shows that something is not right in how the team has been managed.
So you're pinning the blame on Gautam Gambhir-led setup.
Has to be. When he gets
But isn't Gill the captain on the field? I mean, can you excuse what the captain and the players are doing by what the coach made plan?
No, it's the leadership group, but I think the kind of the gravitas, the place Gautam Gambhir holds, and the kind of impact he has got on how the things are run. I think he calls the shots, and I think Gill is the captain, but he's a new captain, he's a young captain. So he can't be having that kind of command over what goes on in all the manners of speaking.
No, but then that brings me to the question. You're right, he's young, and he's young both in terms of his age, but also as far as his captaincy stint is concerned. But I ask, therefore the question arises, was it too soon to hand over the baton to him?
Well, now if you look back, then you might say that, you can argue that perhaps, it could have taken a little more time, let him settle into the job. But when he was made captain, everybody looked ahead and said, wow, we've got a young guy in place. The seniors, a couple of seniors had retired, Rohit and Virat from at least two formats. Jadeja had been bypassed for the captaincy, so too Rahul. So he looked like the logical pick. But now you have to look back, and I agree with Atul that it can't be only Gill you scrutinize or audit or do a post-mortem in isolation. You have to look at the leadership group there. Gautam Gambhir is a very powerful and very strong influence there in the team selection, in the tactics, and all of that. So, but having said that, look, Gautam, Shubman Gill, for him, this was a crucial series. And I'll tell you why. Not just because he was the captain and he's regarded as the best young batsman in the world, but also an opportunity had cropped up for him to force his way back into the T20 World Cup squad because of the injury to Tilak Verma. Had he made runs in this series, and Shreyas Iyer, who's somehow found a place in the T20 series which follows against New Zealand, the runs would have mattered. He neither got the runs, neither did he get the results. So in that sense,
ultimately in cricket, Ayaz, you know this and we all know this, that ultimately, the captain calls the shots on the field. The match situations are discussed. I'm sure player-to-player plans are discussed. But given the situation, the way the match is going, what is happening, not happening, you expect the captain to be able to deliver certain decision-making. Did you find Gill lacking in that regard? Bowling changes, field placements, all that falls into the kitty of the captain on the field.
I think clearly some amount of inexperience was coming through and the ability to assert himself in the middle. But remember, this is the same captain who everybody was lauding when India drew the series in England Test series 2-2, having lost the opening test and then, come back so strongly and did so well. He made the runs. Over here, he couldn't put a foot right as the batsman apart from the first match. New Zealand, a second string team, as Atul mentioned, and so did, somebody else. And New Zealand have this habit of messing around with India's happiness. From 2019, in the semi-final of the ODI World Cup, they beat India. In the first WTC final, World Test Championship final, they beat India. 2 years back, they whitewashed India in the Test series in India. And now they've beaten India in an ODI series for the first time ever. So I think you have to also look at some of the other players who bombed in the series. We've talked about Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, Ravindra Jadeja. Neither with bat nor ball could he pull his weight. Kuldeep Yadav, just didn't deliver any match-winning performance at all. So Rohit Sharma had a bit of a slump after some really good form earlier. So all these things have also mattered. I think, Shubman Gill appeared to me to be under the pressure, having lost his place in the T20 squad. He's bothered about where he's headed as a batsman, and also now he's bothered about where he's headed as a captain.
Yeah. As far as his captaincy is concerned or why he was picked, obviously age was a big factor, Vineet. The fact that he was expected to be a mainstay of Indian batting in the formats is a big, big reason. You want, obviously, your captain to be there for a long period of time and have no questions about their performances or place in the side. But I think it was also the fact that he had captained Gujarat Titans. But there wasn't much to write home about. I think there have been certain criticisms of his captaincy even when he was captaining in the IPL. So did we focus too much on the fact that he's the heir apparent in Indian batting and therefore gave him the captaincy? Or was it really something that people saw in his quote-unquote leadership skills?
Well, to equate what he did in IPL as a captain, that's a different ecosystem altogether. I always believe it's when it comes to the IPLs, it's the backroom staff, it's the staff who generally take the decision. In ODIs, it's slightly different. As you mentioned, Shubman Gill was the heir apparent, and in ODIs the structure it works from World Cup to World Cup cycle, 2023 to 2027. So it was probably the ideal time to hand over the captaincy to Gill and give him that much time. Give him that much time and freedom to build his team and maybe give him confidence as an ODI captain. And also remember, after this New Zealand series, you still have the 2027 World Cup in your mind. The next white ball ODI series India is going to take on is England, which probably would be in 5 to 6 months' time. Now, the big question for Gill would be, to Gill and the leadership group to understand and realize what do they need to rectify from this New Zealand series. As Ayaz Mehman really mentioned, Ravindra Jadeja, Rohit Sharma, there have been a few of those players that you have to look at it. Now it is time for a Gill to assert that. And you mentioned captaincy. Look, he has been the heir apparent. He's been part of the Gujarat, Titan setup. He was the T20I captain as well. So he's been looked at that. He's been given that role. So you cannot right now deny or take it away from him. You need to give him time to grow into that role.
So all captains, Atul, definitely need a little bit of time, right? This is a transition phase in some senses. So you expect a little bit. But this is the first time in a long time that I'm hearing criticism of Gill, not so much that he is young and he made a few bad decisions, he took the risk and it didn't pay off. This is the first time you're hearing criticism of a captain on, tactical issues. You shouldn't have that.
I will not actually criticize Gill too much on his captaincy because he's still a work in progress. And I think we should not get so impatient, at every series, just go over the moon when he does well, because it's the team finally and it's the team management. All the calls he's not taking. Sometimes in a field, he's got the senior players he turns to for a particular thing, but that doesn't mean that everything he chooses to do will click. I think what can he do when the bowlers are going for 80, 85 runs? And this is one of the best bowling attacks. I can't even say that just except Bumrah. I think we got the best three bowlers in India. And I think they went for a leather hunt, But I agree with Ayaz Mehman. Jadeja's role and Kuldeep's role has to be questioned because these were the guys. When India plays
but wouldn't it be unfair by your own yardstick to then pin in the entire blame on those two? If the captain cannot cop some of the blame. You just said that you can't. I'm sorry, but every series to series, we cannot judge people who have performed, right? This was exactly the problem in the Indian setup.
No, I'm just shifting all the blame which you're putting on the head of Shubman Gill to other points.
Who else is supposed to take blames for series losses?
I think Gautam Gambhir, first of all, he should say that, okay, yes, coming from behind, how can New Zealand beat us at home? I mean, in Test cricket, it happened. Either, lightning strikes one place only once, but it has happened again and again. And then, certain debacles have happened. Yes, in the middle, we have won also certain trophies. But that doesn't show. If you see the whole thing in totality, I think the report card shows in minus. So I think everybody has to take a blame. And this is a wake-up call because it's still 1 year away. We were questioning, all the question was about Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. And I think that focus has shifted to now Shubman Gill. I think we have to look at other places. You can't.
I think Gautam Gambhir has been fairly, criticized, and there has been focus on him equally as well. Ayaz, would you not agree? I mean, he's also copped a lot of the blame for what has happened in the last 1 year.
Yes, he has. He has. And I think it's a question of, you see, the thing is, you've got a powerful influence in the, he's a in many ways a controversial figure, but he's also a very powerful figure because he's got rich experience as an international player, and he's won 2 titles, as Atul mentioned, but he's also got defeats which were unexpected.
Yes.
Test series against New Zealand, Test series against South Africa, ODI series against New Zealand, where largely he's had a very young captain that he is working along with in tandem. So Gautam has to, and I think it's more in the region of team selection, final playing 11 selection, that question should be be asked.
So according to you, where are those the top of those questions, the top 3 questions? Because we've not got that much time either ahead of that next T20, next ODI World Cup. What changes do you expect the Indian team to make?
I think somebody like a Nitish Kumar Reddy, who's, in my opinion, he till the last match, he didn't know whether he was part of the team or not part of the team. Even if he's part of the squad, what is his role supposed to be? And so on and so forth. And remember, he's the guy who's played all 3 formats for India in the past year and a half. Yes, he's also had a bit of an injury and he's gone. But having said that, Harshit Rana is somebody who's got opportunity after opportunity. He's actually delivered, which to his credit, one must say that he's somebody who's come good. He's perhaps a little expensive where his bowling is concerned, but he bowls with a big heart and he's batting extremely well, which is of great value for the Indian team. Otherwise, there's a very long tail. Okay. So I'm not saying Gautam Gambhir is the single figure who's responsible for this defeat or the defeat against South Africa. But yes, this is the time even for Gautam Gambhir to perhaps go back to the drawing board and rework his own tactics, his own schemes and strategies to see why this is not working, especially even when you're playing at home. There is something happening somewhere which is not working out right.
And across formats, Vineet. One thing that I think we can all agree with is that something's not quite right.
Well, there is, as both of the panelists mentioned, it's about looking at the team selection, and a lot of these things, and lot of fresh faces, a lot of new things are coming in. For example, the Harshit Rana Nitish Reddy debate. I mean, do you want them? Are you giving them enough game time or not? I still believe from this ODI series, it's just a mere blip because the focus would shift to the T20Is. The main focus on the ODIs would probably come 5-6 months down the line when the England series starts, the white ball series, and there you need to make those kind of decisions. Now again, we've talked about Rohit Sharma. Last 10 innings, he's been a bit off rhythm. One of the criticism was that India were not able to get good starts chasing these big scores. Hence, the responsibility solely fell on a Virat Kohli. Do you want to look at the top of the order? Shubman Gill not among the runs. Do you want to bring in a Yashasvi Jaiswal who's been performing well, or bring in a Devdutt Padikkal? We talked about Ravindra Jadeja. Have we seen the last of him in ODIs? He sent down 23 overs, giving away 143 runs, 0 wickets. Now you ask him the value of him. Do you want to bring in an Akshar Patel there? Harshit Rana could be looked at as your all-rounder Hardik Pandya mold. Do you want to develop there? So these are the questions that now you will have to look. The series is lost. How do you move forward with it? Kuldeep Yadav had one of the worst series in a 3-match series.
Not discounting the fact that some of our spinners didn't have a great outing and there wasn't enough batting support to Virat Kohli. But I think, Atul, what we can also accept is that visitors are doing better in India. We can't expect that India would have that stranglehold on home series that it always used to have. International teams are playing spin better and they have the batting quality to take it to the Indian bowlers, spinners or otherwise. We can't just expect that because they're playing on Indian pitches, that's why we will continue to have some, perpetual, advantage over them. But I'll come to you in just a bit. Ramesh Rao is our caller joining us from Bengaluru. Yes, what's your thought? Do you think Captain Gill is not ready?
Yes, I feel KL Rahul should be made a captain as he led India in the test series. Definitely he is having experience and a good record as a captain also.
All right. Ramesh Rao, thanks a lot for joining us. Yes, Atul, final word to you on what I said and also KL Rahul's name being thrown in.
Yeah, very good point you made about, other teams actually are evolving faster than what we are doing. And I think you're right that we are just sticking to a script which was maybe relevant like 2-3 years ago. And I think our spinners have to learn from. Can you imagine New Zealand didn't have Kane Williamson in the team and Santner, their best spinner. And Chit Ravindra was not there. So without the 3 top stars, they've beaten us so easily in India. That should send the alarm bells ringing. I think we have to take a leaf out of their book and we have to evolve because the game is changing and we can't take it for granted that we will, the Goras will come to India and we'll just roll them over with just a bit of tweak.
Yeah, you're right. I'll end it on that note. I do thank all of our guests for joining us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Actor-turned politician and TVK chief Vijay has left the CBI headquarters in the national capital after 7 hours of questioning. Remember, this was his round 2 of questioning in the Karur stampede case. This questioning pertains to the stampede tragedy that claimed 41 lives in Karur in Tamil Nadu during one of his election rallies. Several questions were put forth by CBI sleuths to Vijay, including the 7-hour delay of him reaching the venue. TVK and Vijay had claimed that there were bottlenecks that were put in place by the state government, which is why he arrived late. That's something that he was confronted with. Video evidence from that day is also something that the CBI sleuths confronted Vijay with. 7 hours of questioning this time around. Round 1 was over 6.5 hours. It is a complete marathon questioning that the